anybody that knows me in my day-to-day life knows that when I have something in my head to say, if people are around, I'll have a conversation about it. If people aren't around, I typically use the notes feature on Facebook just to get my thoughts out there. Whether people read it or not, that's up to them. I'm not really doing it for that purpose. It's just something that I need to get out there, and something I feel like eventually I'll look back and reflect on. That ended up being the case yesterday. Today is March 5th. As people here in the States woke up yesterday, on March 4th, we found out that the world had lost Keith Flint, the lead singer of a band very well known in the 90s called the Prodigy. It was, I grew up in the days where if somebody in the music industry passed away, especially when they weren't in their golden years, it was generally drug related. And it was just, drug use gone wrong. Now, more so, we're seeing a lot of people in the entertainment industry and in the art world taking their own life. And it's just, I don't understand it. It's a common statement that comedians are the most depressed people in the world, which is why they go into comedy, so that they can make other people laugh and, at least for a brief time, maybe make themselves feel better, about things that are happening in their life. They're able to forget about those things happening, and they're able to focus on the fact that they are lifting other people's spirits. I think after my thought process yesterday, after hearing about Keith passing away from taking his own life, I think we need to expand that and recognize that anybody who uses an art form to express themselves, I think we need to acknowledge that there is some level of depression there, because art speaks when words cannot. Now, I know music does involve, lyrics, words, but it involves them in a different context. It explains things when conversation can't. It will often help lead to conversation, which is always good. But as far as I can tell, from what I've read so far, there really were no apparent signs that this was on the horizon for Keith. Now, admittedly, I'm not, a diehard, dedicated fan to the Prodigy. They were a band that I started listening to in high school, and I've briefly followed them throughout the years. I haven't, followed closely, but I've enjoyed their music when I've heard it. And it's just waking up and hearing that yesterday, it throws you for a loop. And like I said, I think we need to look deeper into art. I think we need to recognize art as a voice. Art is an expression of self. And I think when it comes to artists, whether they are mainstream entertainers or, your next door neighbor, I think we need to pay attention to the art that these artists create to really get a better sense of who they are and a better understanding as to how we can help them if need be. I think that if we start recognizing signs more actively, I think it'll create a better sense of community and a stronger sense of community. You know, growing up with my mom always doing some sort of art, I've always been under the impression that artists see the world in a vastly different way than most people. Creative individuals understand that there are so many complexities in life that it's impossible to fully understand them all. And I think that when you use art as a medium, regardless of the style of art that you're creating, I think that you get closer to understanding those complexities. But also, for those who may not be as artistically inclined, I think they need to embrace art and artists a little bit better to understand the root of where the art is coming from. Because when it comes to books, even fictional pieces of literature are rooted in possibly something that really happened in the writer's life. I believe that there is reality in everything. We just have to be willing to discover what that reality is. We have to be willing to seek out the answers so that we can have a better understanding of the world around us and the people in it. Because if we have a better understanding of the world around us and the people in it, I think we will understand our place in this world. I think artists understand their place in this world, whether they know it or not. They are here to get others to open their proverbial third eye and see life from a different perspective. I've heard, I don't know where, I've heard it from multiple different sources that there's this theory that we are essentially just players in a larger simulation game. I don't believe, and this is for the gaming community to understand, I don't believe that we can continue being NPCs. We have to be active players in our own lives and in the lives of the people that we love. Because eventually, losing the ones that we love, we're eventually going to lose ourselves. That can't happen because we do not want to be the cause of our own demise. I'm just, yeah, yesterday was chaotic, and I think wearing Deadpool was kind of fitting for this video because, at least for me, Deadpool represents some sort of chaos. And it just, I understand that chaos needs to exist, but I think we need to have a better grasp on it because we don't want to get caught up in the chaos. We can sit there and watch the chaos, but we need to effectively know how to manage it. And I think we just need a better understanding of self and understanding of the world we live in and our fellow neighbor. Because this taking your own life, this has got to stop. Because there are too many people that we're losing, and eventually we're just going to get to a point where there are people who are not going to be as willing to put themselves out there and be vulnerable, because they'll probably be afraid that vulnerability will lead to their untimely passing. I did find a quote from Keith that I thought was very, fitting. The statement Keith made was likely after the release of their first album. I can't be sure of that, but I know it was early on in their career. The quote that I found that I feel fits this whole narrative is a quote that he stated, "I'd spent years expressing myself with my body, and I finally had the chance to express myself with my voice." Like I said, I think art in and of itself is a voice, regardless of the medium. So I think we need to start listening to that voice and understanding that art is a universal language. We just have to be willing to understand it the best way that we can individually. Because we have to stop losing all of these people that are willing to speak in any way that they can. I will see you guys soon for another video. Take care of each other and yourselves.